Hey there, it's Joe with Sonical Disruptive. How are you? Time for something a little bit different, something off brand, something a little spooky. It's almost Halloween, so I wanted to talk a little bit about ghost stories. Real ghost stories have always fascinated me my whole entire life, and they seem to fascinate about everybody ever because it's fascinating, right? You just don't know. And so I wanted to know if anybody out there has any they would like to share. If so, comment. Maybe give a little description of what happened, what it was that you thought you saw. I'll give you three. Throughout the course of my life, there hasn't been a ton, but there have been specific moments, and when these moments happen, you just don't forget it. It is always in your mind. You never lose it. You always remember these things crystal clear. I'll start with a couple good ones. One was, and I think many people have had these type of things happen to them, and there's many scientific explanations for what might have happened, but who knows? Anyway, one time I had fallen dead asleep. I mean, I was out like a light driving, and there was a corner, and there was a mighty big boom, just a big cliff coming up, and I felt a hand jerk my shoulder. That's what I felt. I don't know what it was. I was the only one in the car. And woke up split second. I'm serious, less than a second. If it would have been any later, I would have been off that cliff. Just the nick of time. It was this close. I thought for sure I was a dead man. And that was so close. But I remember, and it just chills went down my spine because I felt somebody grab my shoulder. And it's so weird. I mean, it was a hard grab too and a jerk. It was like, so weird. I'll never forget that. Yeah. So there's one. Another one, kind of similar to that. And this one, it's associated with dreams and all that. And the other one could be too. That dream state does weird things, and I get that as well. But I was just sitting on my couch at a place I lived, an apartment, and it was late, and I was kind of in and out, again, that whole thing, kind of falling asleep. But I heard it as clear as day. And I was awake, and I felt it. I felt the breath in my ear, and it was a whisper. Somebody came up to my ear and whispered something in my ear. And the message was good, but I spent years trying to figure out if there was anything specific that was pointing me towards, and I don't know, because I don't know what it was, so I can't ask. It just said, try harder. It was somebody came up to my ear and they whispered, try harder. It freaked me out, man. I jumped up. I was like, what the hell? My wife was in sleeping. None of that. It was out of the blue. And I wasn't fast asleep and I wasn't dreaming because as soon as I heard it, I'm looking around in real time. What the hell is that? Where did that come from? Who's in the house? What do they want me to try harder to do? It's always a question. Try harder at what? I guess try harder at everything you do is the answer to that. Something that I should heed that advice. Very good advice. But I jumped up from the couch because it was right there. And you could feel the presence. You could feel everything right there, right in this ear. So weird. All right, now we'll go to the third and final example. I don't know what I'm talking about. And this one is spread over through a couple weeks. So at the time, this would have been 2010, 2011. No, not that. 2000, 2001. 2001 specifically is the year. And so I was staying with my girlfriend at the time at her apartment, which was above this bar. It was a dive bar. It was a dumpy dive bar. And I remember over the course of about 2 weeks, there were about 5 occasions where the one thing I don't know was why I was sleeping on the floor in the living room. I don't know. Why wasn't I in the bedroom? I don't remember that. I really don't. That's the funny thing with memories. There's just these pieces you can't quite fit together, but the important stuff you usually remember. And this, so I'm sleeping out there, and I don't know if anybody's experienced night terrors. I never had before that or after this either, but it was the most frightening thing I've ever experienced. Each and every time got to the point where I was terrified to go to sleep because I was dreaming, I guess, but I felt like I was wide awake, and I thought my eyes were open because I was there lying on the floor. It wasn't like I was in some other place, some other time. It was right then. I was laying on the floor, and this dread. There's nothing. At the time, it was just this feeling of sheer dread, just this sheer feeling of like a dark, evil presence. And there's a pretty large crack because there was this hallway. So there's a crack probably about, probably a couple inches, maybe even, because it was a crappy place. At least an inch crack under that door. So I'm laying there. I feel this presence, this terror is going over me, and I see shoes, black boots or something. I see a figure underneath the door. And that's as far as it went, but it was scary as hell. And it was so weird. And that happened, like I said, about 5 times over 2 weeks period. And it was the same thing every time. And I could not move. I was trying to say, I was trying to yell out, like if I was sleeping, I wanted somebody to wake me the hell up. But I was froze. I've never experienced that before. Just completely paralyzed. So weird. And then it would have been shortly after that. There's this alleyway that goes in between these 2 buildings. And that's where you get into this upstairs unit. So me and my girlfriend at the time were walking through this alleyway just to go up the stairs like normal, like any other time. Nobody else was in the alleyway. And at the same time, we both felt something that made us run and get into that doorway as quick as we could. And it was something, I have no clue what it was. It was like this shadow racing over you and racing upon you, but there was nobody in there. And we both talked about it afterwards, right as soon as that happened, and said, and it was basically like both of us was like, what the hell was that? Because it's not like there were no words spoken at that time before that happened. It wasn't like, oh, wait, let's run into here. It was at the same time, we both had this overwhelming urge to get the hell out of that alley. But it was that feeling of darkness, that feeling of evil, that the same feeling that I got in that apartment in those night terrors. So, what was that? I don't know. If there's any place that had a dark energy to it, that place had a dark energy, man. Oh, I would not. I don't think I would spend a night in that apartment again. Um, yeah. So I was just thinking about a few of those things, and it made me wonder if anybody else experienced similar things or has any experience with any of that fun stuff. So there you are. Nothing to do with music, just spooky ghost stories. So, yeah, let me know if you've experienced anything that you can't quite explain like that. Always interested, always fascinated. And hey, thank you very much for watching. See you.